We are live.
Not live, but live.
Live. All right. Let me share this really quick, if that's easy. Not easy. It's fine. We're gonna let the universe have it. Welcome everyone. I'm Ife. This is day 2 of On Being Ourselves. Conversations on healing, acceptance, and freeing our uniqueness into the world. I am here with LeeAnn Chisolm Morisette, my guest for day 2. I could not be more pleased. I was going to say excited, and I am certainly excited. And I'm more peaceful than excited. I'm very happy to have LeeAnn here with us.
Yay.
I'm just pulling up the chat so I can be with the folks. Hey, Courtney. Hey, Narcissa. Thank y'all for joining us today. Welcome back. And you know what? We were going to do introductions. We will do introductions. But like, before we even do that, how are you doing, LeeAnn? How are you doing? How's everyone doing? Post in the chat. How are you feeling today? Look at the dance. I love it.
No, I have to like shake myself up.
Shake it in.
Yes. So I like to always like drop in and like, how's my heart?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how's my heart? And my heart is really full in a chaotic way, in a loving way. But there's a lot that I'm processing in this moment. So it's like, that's why I had to dance. Like, ooh.
I mean, what better way is there to say? I'm certainly feeling very, very similar. Very similar. Let me drop in.
How are your heart?
Man, wow. I'm feeling busy. I'm feeling a little, right? Lots of air in the sky right now as far as the elements that are popping off. So there's that. Underneath that, I feel full and present and like steady and ready. I just feel like there's like a flow that's like wants to go like, you know, like I just got out the tub. And when I tell you, it was everything I needed to get me back in flow. And while I was in the tub, I was thinking about this, like water is flow, right? Water is movement. And I've been kind of like working a lot with elements lately. Like what, do I need groundedness? Do I feel like I need kind of more of the water element? I rarely need air because there's so much air for me. But yeah, like what do I need? And the water, man. It's like there's rhythm there, right? So I was just tapping into how I was able to access flow and groundedness, like through water. It was kind of deep. But I'm really glad I was able, like I needed that, I needed that. And also to return to like my essence, because I think of myself as quite watery. So yeah.
I wanted to add to what you were saying about us feeling similarly in the busyness, or almost like it almost feels like an overflow coming up, when energy is how I feel it or how I would describe it. But like, I always look at myself in terms of the seasons, and we're coming up to summer and things are like really like, not just blossoming now, like things are getting to their fullness. And whenever I tend to like feel the seasons in the sense of like, wow, things are really like vibrant and full, and like, so there's a dance of that, and like there's the opposites, there's like ecstasy, and then there's the opposite of chaos, of ecstasy. What would that be?
What would that be? Oh.
but but feeling both sides, feeling the duality of it all, and feeling it really full, and being able to really catch our breath in these moments. It's just, there's just really so much to feel right now, especially with what's going on in the world. So it's like extra heightened. But I feel like these are moments to really sit in nature and to find that ease amongst the trees, you know, with the water, sitting in the ground, you know. I've been lighting candles every day just to like for the balance of it all.
Yes.
I'm a water sign, so I tend to be just like, I need that opposite to like find my steady. But yeah, so I hope that speaks to like everyone who's feeling that energy. You know, like there's a bit of a heaviness, and there's joy in that too. You know, and
absolutely.
that's where we are.
Oh yeah, I think with the summer energy, I'm feeling like I have to. So I think I've recently come into this term, overjoyed burnout.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So like, I love joy. I mean, most people probably do, but like there's a place of like a high I can get to, right? I guess some people would call it bliss. I definitely feel it when I feel like I'm in alignment personally, right? And it can just feel so good and so boundless and so abundant, and like literally like the colors outside are brighter, and everyone's attracted to me. Like it's crazy.
Yes. Keep going.
Yeah, right. And this happened on the heels of yesterday's conversation. Cause I literally was like, oh my God, all the things, this is amazing. My life purpose is coming into fruition. What'd you say? Background music?
It's like there's background music going on in your life, right? Like a little beat going on.
Precisely, right? And I do this. I literally create that effect with like listening to music and headphones and walking down the street, right?
Yeah.
Like this is literally, it's a whole entire thing, and I'm in the soundtrack of my movie, and it's happening. Yes. There could be nothing better in the moment, right? And yeah, I've come to like kind of feel as though overjoyed burnout is a thing. Like it feels good. And the spirit of summer, right? It's so full, it's so on, like it's heat, it's come out and play, it's, you know, it's just all this out energy, which can feel so cool. And sometimes, and I'm still figuring it out, like majorly. Still, I'm still kind of working my way in this, but I think sometimes it means that I can't exactly feel my needs, or I'm not as sensitive to like what I need in the moment, because I'm like so in the overjoyed and like everything's so great. So, like underneath that, I actually really need to eat, right? And I actually need some sleep, and I need some this or some that. I don't really feel that until I come down. And then also just, it takes energy. It is energy. And so sometimes it's like, it's so great, it's so great, it's so great. I'm tired as hell, right? Like all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? So I'm finding my way in all of it. And I love that this conversation has kind of come into self-care, right? Which truly is at the center of everything we have planned to talk about, and just, you know, things that all of us need in general. But yeah, all right. Well, there that is. I want to just say a little bit about how LeeAnn and I have come to know each other, and why I wanted to have this conversation with you, LeeAnn. And then LeeAnn will say a bit about herself. Sure. And then we're going to do a little bit of breath work, a little bit of dropping in for ourselves and for everyone, which I'm super excited about. All right, so I think we met at Starshine and Clay, right?
Yes. Yeah. To me, it goes back further.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I tell you? Okay, yes. So I walked into Just Add Honey one day, and I was like, I saw this gorgeous being behind the counter. And I was like, I think we start, because I'm into kombucha. So I was like, I wonder what kind of tea they have. Can I add it to my kombucha? And so we started a conversation, I don't remember about what. And I was like, do I know you from somewhere? And I think we went back and forth about the possible places that we could know each other. And I was like, nah, I don't think we knew each other.
Hilarious.
And then, like, I think it was the next year or maybe later on that year during the Star Shine and Clay retreat.
Wow.
Octavia Rahim Star Shine and Clay retreat. And I was like, I said the same words to you. And and then it all came back to me like, oh my God.
Wow. Okay.
You're from somewhere.
And that's so funny because I remember at Star Shine and Clay, which by the way is a yoga retreat for women of color, facilitated by Octavia Rahim, who is like amaze balls. Like,
yes.
Can we just have a moment of homage for Octavia Rahim and all of her goodness in the world? If you don't know Octavia Rahim, just Google her and just get your life.
For real though.
So many blessings. I'm so grateful. So yes, I remember when we talked there, I'm like, but I know you though. We're vibing and we got energy. There's something there, but I know you from somewhere. And I didn't remember the Just That Honey situation, which is Just That Honey is a Black-owned tea shop and tea company, which I worked for many years. Shout out to Brandy and Jamel Shelton. Amazing company based in Atlanta. So that's so funny. And also because kombucha is like really my thing. I'm really glad that even if I didn't remember it, we bonded over kombucha.
Yeah.
So, but we've been kindred spirits. We've been familiar spirits with each other for so yeah, we've always had like I see you, sis. I see you, sis. I know you, sis. And we're gonna dive into this connection someday.
Yes.
And I think we kind of finally, got that chance right before I left for South Africa in November. Realized we had a mutual friend that we didn't know that we had. Shout out to Stacy. The universe just bringing us together.
Look at that. Yes.
I think both having been in a state of transition, both almost having been in a state of shock in terms of the changes happening in our lives and the things that we were unearthing about ourselves and our patterns and our stories and our upbringings and all the things, and discovering kind of like new parts of ourselves and making way towards transition. For me, that was moving to South Africa. For you, that was motherhood. Right, probably among other things. And I think since then we've just really, seen each other in each other, right? Certainly that's been the case for me. And vibed on all of these things, just engaging this process that is not easy, that is not, there's no book about it. I mean, there are, but you gotta live it yourself, right?
You do have to live it,
So just being in the living and the trusting and the not knowing and the finding our way. So honestly, on this, like, I couldn't think of a more perfect person to have this conversation with. And surely you were the one who popped into my heart, and spirit was like, of course.
I love it.
Super happy to just be in space with you and to be sharing our space with everyone else, right?
Yeah.
So again, welcome everyone. We've just checked in kind of how we're doing. Feel free to just share that in the chat. So LeeAnn, please tell us about yourself, however you want to do that.
That's always such a big question. Who am I?
Hey, Crystal Jones. Crystal Jones in the house.
Hey, Dr. Jones. Who am I? I am a woman living freely, as freely as I can in this moment, as freely as I know in this moment. And so there's a lot of like intentional chiseling that's happening in every moment of like, like that's not comfortable. Face it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like, so, professionally, I am a storyteller, through photography, film, the written word, and I'm a lover.
Oh,
I'm a mother now, which is beautiful. And I think that really has put a lot of the things that I've been working through in overdrive, because I have this constant like reflection, like her eyes are literally almost always peering at me. And it's like, oh wow, she's witnessing like my panic attack, or she's witnessing my dis-ease, and like she's feeling it too. And so like even moments like I tend to get like tightly wound. And like I'm at my parents' house now, and I was on my way to get here, and I was running late, and I'm like, I was frantic, and I'm like, I'll get there in perfect time. Like she's looking at me. I don't want to affect her. Like just drop your shoulders back, LeeAnn, and like chill, dance a little. You'll get there in perfect time.
I love.
Yes. So that's where I am now, and that's where I am in this moment.
Yeah, no, I love it. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Right before we got, well, a little bit before we got on, I text LeeAnn just to kind of like check in to the link, and she's like, I was just gonna text you, how are you feeling, And sure enough, like I needed that check-in. And I needed some care in that moment, right? So I was trying to, doing my best to kind of tend to my own needs, but also was in a similar kind of like, all right, I got to do all this, and I didn't get enough sleep, and and sure enough, right? Like I am, yeah, and we've talked a little bit about this, endeavoring to shift from burnout living or burnout working rather, to a different kind of a creation, a different kind of showing up, a different kind of existence, right? So anyway, when LeeAnn checked in with me, she shared how she was feeling and just was like, can we start with some breath work and releasing? And I'm just like, girl, I literally could not think the way that spirit moves. I just like, absolutely, right? Like 1,000%, need that. And yeah, I won't say any more. Let's get into this.
Well, so because I feel like in my living, and what I've learned is that like we're constantly, things are constantly being added to us, the stories, the societal experiences, like so our constant work is like washing and chiseling and like taking things off and releasing and shedding, and just like I'm still questioning, like, can we live a life where I'm not constantly having to shed? But like we are, like that is part of
not for me anyway. Yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to take a moment to shed whatever you are individually carrying, whatever I'm carrying in this moment, and for us to do it collectively. So to guide myself in, find a comfortable seat. You can drop your shoulders up, bring your shoulders up and back and down. Just feeling your natural breath in this moment. Noticing your thought patterns. Noticing your heartbeat. Where are you landing in this moment? What's calling your attention in this moment? I invite you to look at that thing, that person, whatever is calling your attention, and to bring ease to it with a smile, with a yes, with a breath. We're going to take an inhale through our nose And release a deep sigh. Allow it to be audible, however loud you need it to be. If you want to make a scream, wherever you are, let it be free. Another inhale through your nose. Release a sigh. Returning to your breath through your nose, in and out. In through your nose and out through your nose. Allow your breath to deepen, feeling the expansion in your belly, in your rib cage, and right underneath your collarbones. And on the exhale, release it all out, contracting your belly. And repeat this a few times, allowing your breath to deepen, allowing your breath to soften. After your next exhale, bring your thumb up, your right thumb to your right nostril, pressing it in. And you'll breathe in through that left nostril. And exhaling through that left nostril. Continue this pattern, inhaling and exhaling through that left nostril. This is a restorative breath, calming your parasympathetic nervous system, bringing you back to your ease, to your peace in this moment. Bring back into focus that thing that has your attention, that's been eating at you or you've been considering. Where can you let go? Where can you release control? And allow yourself to do that in this moment, piece by piece, as gracefully as you need. Trusting in your power to create, trusting in your power to release. After your next inhale, release your hand back down to your lap, to your side. With your eyes closed or open, return to your natural breath. Notice if anything's changed for you. Notice where your shoulders land in this moment. Are they relaxed? Are they still tense? See if you can let go anymore. We're going to do 3 collective sighs. Taking a deep inhale here through your nose. And release a sigh. Again, inhaling through your nose. Release a sigh. Inhaling again through your nose. And release a sigh. If your eyes have been closed, I invite you to open them now. Returning to your natural breath. Just notice how you feel and giving thanks for this moment, the space you have cultivated for yourself and for community. And here we are. Oh, that feels good.
Ooh, yes. I'm like, I kind of don't want to speak for a little while.
I know. Like, I'm gonna go take a nap now.
Soaking it in. You know, let's go back in 20 minutes. Nap break.
Girl, I needed that. Ooh.
I needed that too. Wow. Thank you, LeeAnn. Ooh,
Thank
wow.
you. Thank you for the space.
These are spirit fingers or something. They're just Thanksgiving, honey. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me know how you're feeling in the comments if you
please.
if you did that breath work with us. Wow. I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna be coming back for the replay to do that like later.
Oh, that felt good. Yes, ma'am. Thank you
so much. Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I feel open and
spacious.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
The word
spacious.
that came to me was like allowing, just like ready to allow, ready to. When you asked, you prompted about kind of like releasing control. What came to me was like allowing things, allow things to fall where they may, right? And trusting that. So, how juicy! Yes. Courtney saying she feels relieved. Ariel is thanking. What's up, Ariel? Thanks for being here. Thanking you, LeeAnn, for that breath work. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. I kind of want to ask you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm just like,
we here. Go ahead, girl. What you got?
Where do we start?
I know. Sips tea.
Literally.
Yeah. So yeah.
I do have one question that came to me in the bathtub.
Okay.
Just like, you know, because I think it's interesting how this conversation, this whole moment kind of just, as I said, like became about self-care, right? Just like dropped into self-care. In your everyday lived experience, where does your personal need for self-care tend to like stem from? And what tends to give you what you need?
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
That was hard. I'm feeling that question.
Yeah.
So breath is a thing for me. I tend to not breathe. Just put it plainly. Same. Yeah, okay. And so I have found that it's hard to live that way. It's hard to, so my work is very creative and intuitive, and it's like I can't even show up at all because I'm locked, I'm tied, I'm restraining myself, you know what I mean? Because I'm typically, if I'm not breathing, I'm anxious, I'm fearful about something, you know? Same. And so for me, it's like, it stems from, I want to say survival, and the like, I have to live well. If I don't live well, I find myself with panic attacks. I've tried to do the constant working thing, and literally like, you know, like, you know.
I know. It'll kill you.
I know people, and I will speak in my family, and I've witnessed women bear and carry so much weight, and like just do it and just do it and just do it, and it manifests differently for them in the sense of like maybe it just adds weight onto their physical body, or maybe they move into their life differently. For me, I don't know if it's the water in me, but like I can't hold on. Like I literally can't hold on to weight. yeah. So it's a necessity for me to clear, to let go of things, in order for me to just keep walking, to keep living. So it's definitely a necessity, and I'm so passionate about sharing it, because I feel like whether or not it's dripping off of you, everyone, I speaking broadly, there's so much weight that is carried, and like, what if we can just let go of some things? What if we can just let go of one thing?
Yeah. Yes.
So for me, self-care is releasing so that we can pour back in, or from me personally, releasing so I can pour back in that good stuff, that good tea, that the wisdom that I know, that innate knowing, and come back to that.
Yes.
There was a second part to your question.
I think you answered it. It was like, what tends to give you what you need, like what care. Yeah.
Breathing. But yeah, this whole idea of releasing, and I think I found a lot. It's just been a really good journey the past 5 or so years of I give thanks to Octavia Rahim. I give thanks to Dr. Crystal Jones. I give thanks to Emeril Arnett, like my sisters, my community. Like, there's just been so much like beautiful reflection, in the sense of like, oh, I'm held, and so I have the safety to let go of these things that I think hold me or restrict me. I have this, like, it's like the big mother, being in the big mother room of life, that's just like constantly showing herself in my reflections, and that like, you're held, let go, this is a safe space. There's a lot to do. Yeah, there's a lot to do and cultivate in this life. So just, drop your shoulders back and do your work,
Wow. I love that. Yeah. I resonate with so much about that. Man, the breathing, so real. I think it was after Star Shine and Clay. So we met at the Star Shine and Clay retreat in 2017. And I breathed so much, right? That was my first time at a yoga retreat. Like, I didn't have any real practice or anything. But of course, we did yoga all weekend. It was amazing, and also felt so held and just so affirmed, and like, wow, with the sisterhood and whatnot. And I came home breathing so much and so in flow. It was then that I realized how much I hadn't been breathing before. Right.
Yeah.
And I I knew, and I had struggled with those patterns before, the patterns of anxiety, the patterns of running into something that scared me for whatever reason and locking up, right, and not allowing the breath. But I couldn't see it as nearly as clearly as when I had lived a completely different breathing experience for days on end, right? But just, sharing that pattern of getting locked up, and also sharing the pattern of having watched family members and having family members who have lived this, live a life of, to me, what feels like constant work, what feels like not a lot of rest, what feels like not a lot of stillness, and just learning in my own life that ain't gonna work for me. You know what I'm saying? It just simply will literally have me incapacitated, literally. So for me, the breath is huge. Grounding is absolutely huge, because my air sign self will be here, there, and anywhere. Today, tomorrow, yesterday, what was happening? What was I doing? Had this great idea. Oh, I don't know what's going on with that, right?
Yeah.
And to, I think, as you alluded to, coming home to myself. For me, self-care, like why I do self-care and why I need self-care is to come home to myself 100%. To find that voice beyond the voices, that inner voice, that knowing that is absolutely 100% clear and has no doubt.
Yeah.
That is full and strong and connected to all that is, connected to my ancestors, just badass, you know what I'm saying? And
yes.
full and ready. So
that's that sovereign being that I feel, getting back to personal sovereignty.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about that tree that we talked about recently, about the oak tree.
About the tree. Please tell the people about the tree.
Be your own oak tree. So I was telling you, Ife, that so my spirit animal is an oak tree. And there's a long story about that. My family's from Wamala Island, and there's these beautiful oak trees that are on the land. And when I think of myself, I envision this land and I envision these trees, and they're full bodied, they're gentle, and wise, and just so anyways, when I imagine like the person I want to be that oak tree. And what we were talking about in sovereignty is in the sense of like that tree is so rooted and so firm, yet also connected with all the other oak trees in its vicinity through its roots. And so with our own individual sovereignty, there's also an interdependence. There's not a leaning on our neighbor codependency, attachment. It's just that I am here, I am the tree. Yes. And we hold each other's hands, we are firm in this, like, I'm feeling it right now. I got little goosebumps. like, yeah. And for me, that's my ideal life. That's when I know I'm centered. That's when I know I'm free. And I'm living in purpose, is when it's like, yeah, I'm standing on my ground, and I'm not wanting what that tree has over there, or I'm not worried that this bird is flying from from my tree to that tree. Ooh, that tree. Like, nah, I don't care about that bird. I'm Mama Oak. Yeah. I am Mother Oak, and I am. Ooh, that's all I need. Is this space that I land in, and here we are, feeding myself, feeding each other, and we're safe. Yeah.
Do you know what this feels like for me? This conversation feels like yoga in words.
Oh, I love
it. It's like poses and motion and postures and like flow and breath and.
I love talking in the way where it just feels like, oh, I just want to like release in the motions, because you're feeling the like the breath in your conversation. You know what I mean? Like, this is oxygen.
And the flow and the rhythm and the exchange.
Yeah.
So cool.
Real.
Yeah, let's get into sovereignty. Let's talk about it. I love the oak tree. I love standing on my ground, is what you said. The way I wrote it. Where does what's your definition of personal sovereignty, and how did it come to be? How did it emerge from you or within you?
That's interesting. It's a long story. I feel like the older I get, the longer my stories get. Maybe that's
hilarious.
They just build upon each other. But sovereignty to me is visualizing it's that oak tree. It's providing my own safety, providing my own love. Yeah. Oof. I'm like physically, emotionally, spiritually, did I say all the things mentally? Like really, not, and so like, I had to backtrack. So I'll tell you where it comes from. I'm a bit, I want to say rebellious in nature, in the sense of like, there's squares in society, right? And I'm very much a person to like, like society is a box.
Yes.
Capitalism is a box. Whatever, democracy is a box.
Right.
And I am a person who questions the boxes. It's like, but why? But religion is a box. But why do I have to? Who said that? And where does it come from? And like, so like, I've always wanted to know. I've always wanted to move from my own knowing, as opposed to like what someone else has told me, because like, there's things that you can know like societally, but then there's that drop in, that innate knowing that I prefer to move from. There's no faltering with that. That to me, that's God. To me, that's just this pure, of course-ness, right? Yeah. So I've always made my way through that. And then I think in college, societally, I was like, why is everyone doing this thing when like we can just really just tap into our own truth, learning how to build our own things, learning how to feed ourselves. Why aren't people asking more questions? I've always wanted to, and maybe that comes from also being a storyteller, but being able to see the beginning and the ends of things, and like certain things not really making sense, and wanting to be able to land somewhere in myself. And the only place I can land is within myself, and that's for me to be sovereign. And then I think where I dance in it now most heavily is when it comes to relationship. And I've spoken to you about this and online about codependency, and it's something that I have witnessed that I feel like I got just by, oh, that's how you love, and not realizing like, oh no, that's really dysfunctional. And I've completely lost myself in loving that person, and like, oh, this is what this feels like, and really finding, really cultivating that self-love in a way that, like I want, so where I have landed most recently is like, I want devotion from that person. It's like, nah, what I really want is like, how do I give that devotion back to myself? Like the devotion that I think that person should be giving me, how do I devote that same love and care and like attention to my needs, and not waiting for someone to fulfill that? And really not necessarily even needing someone to fulfill that, like I'm an oak tree.
Yeah. There's a coach who I followed over the years, and she says something like, you are a fucking cathedral, and I'm like, yes, all of this. Like, what I'm saying? Like, and there's so many metaphors we have for it, but that just sense of like, I have largesse. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm beyond words. Like, I am full. I am just that feeling of,
yeah,
I'm it. Okay? I'm it. Yeah, I appreciate what you shared, and of course, this is where you and I share a lot of experiences, among other places. But I know I came to learn about my patterns of codependency just about a year ago. After the dissemination, shall I say, the breakup between me and my former partner of 5 years and fiance, right? And yesterday I referred to it as the Great Awakening. This period of my life, where everything fell apart, of course, to come back together, right?
The unfolding, like a flower. Yeah.
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 You know, my tower moment. Which, man, I mean, if people who have heard me talk about it know that I'm so grateful, you know, I'm so grateful that Spirit moved in such a way when I didn't know how, when I couldn't even see, kind of as you said, right? This is just the way that I love. There's literally nothing wrong here.
Yeah.
This is, I don't understand.
Yes.
Everything absolutely had to fall apart in order for me to see clearly. 1,000%. And I am 1,000% grateful to be standing here, sitting here, living here as the woman who I am, full and knowing in herself, as a result, right? And it was after that or in that unfolding, learning just how much I had learned to export my own needs, my own security, my own satisfaction, my own safety into the hands of another person. And not only another person, but other things in general. Other people in general, and even other things like food, right? You know, it was a piece that had me like understand my relationship with food and emotional eating differently after so many years, that actually, you know, what I was looking for was the same security and safety and comfort and satisfaction outside of myself, right, as I had with other people, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think my own definition of sovereignty definitely of personal sovereignty came as a result of understanding and seeing these patterns clearly, like before my face, before my eyes, like, you know, I mean, being, you know, we could even say addicted to connection, to being, to going after or pursuing being desired, right? Being seen, being affirmed, and held in safety with my vulnerable places, right?
Yes.
And how that was like literally this whole piece of me and way that I existed in the world, that I really was not I was not aware of. So lots of things came online, like you know, struggles with things like abandonment and all sorts of things that had me really confused, you know. I'm like, but I've had my dad all my life. Like, who abandoned me, right? Just the layers needing to go like layers, levels down, and then coming up with so much like, okay, wow. And then living an experience, a transformation in unfolding, where I really got to deepen and make home in my own power, where I provided myself with those things that I was so used to seeking outside of myself. So as you said, right, I want devotion from this person. I want whatever, any number of things, attention from this person. I want to be seen, you know, something that's come up for me, that's been a pattern for me, is this thing of wanting to be beheld, right? All the things. Okay, how do I give that to myself? Right? And also, how do I shift this understanding that I have that anyone actually can give this to, anyone else can give this to me?
Yeah.
Right? Because truly no one can, right? Not, they can give it to me as surplus. They cannot fill what I am what I tend to attempt to feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only I can give that to myself at this point, right? We aren't children anymore. The patterns, the wounding, what have you, be they what they may, we as powerful beings now are in the place for us to I think dig into these stories that we've lived and like pull out the lesson, pull out the learning, pull out the becoming, pull out the evolution that literally like the situation ever came to give us in the first place. You know what I mean? And just from that place, like when I'm in that place, when I have found that place, when I live in that place, it's so true and it's so precious. It's like the truest thing I've ever felt, right? It's that oak tree. It's that oak tree. And because I have lived such the opposite and in so many ways and at so many times felt bound by the opposite, it is like something I'm utterly committed to, right? For myself and in wanting to inspire and help other folks to reach, because that's true power. That's our true power. That's where everything that is true within us and for us can live in this world, and we can truly be and exist as we came to. And without it, honestly, I think we're merely floating.
Yes. I just really wanted to like curl up and roll in the dirt as you were talking, because I'm like, yes, mother, yes, Mother Nature. that is safety, the safety that we can only provide ourselves. I was thinking about as you were talking about the dissolution of your partnership. I similarly, when I was going through that experience, it was missing longing for something that longing, that one.
It's a very specific energy.
Yes. And what I realized, I wasn't longing for the relationship, I was longing for who I was in the relationship. Ooh. And it was like, oh no, I am that before and after.
I hope somebody's writing that down somewhere. I wasn't longing for the relationship. I was longing for who I was in the relationship. Wow.
Yeah. And so that is that self-love, that is that self-compassion, that is like that offering yourself the only thing that you can offer yourself. And I feel like if we move from there, not only do we love deeper, but we show up deeper, in all facets of our lives.
Absolutely.
And you said something else about what came to mind was like the stripping away of our stories, and that's one thing I love about meditation. Or there's certain spaces where we can literally, because we have repeated thoughts throughout the day, as consciously as they are or unconsciously as they are, they're just repeated.
Yes.
And that's science. I think they say it's 80,000 thoughts a day, and it's just like a playback over and over again within each day. But what I love about practices like meditation, or places of stillness that you can find yourself in, we get a new thought, like suddenly, like it's like, well, what if, as opposed to like, well, I hate this, or like I can't get out of this cycle, and this is happening over here. It's like, well, but what if it's like this instead, and just for me, that it opens up more possibility and more experience, more expansiveness to who we are, and it allows us to grow. Practices like meditation allow us to grow, especially through turmoil, because I feel like those are the places that we can get stuck in, when
absolutely.
For me, grieving is a pattern, like I do believe that everything, well, not everything, but things have a process of like letting go, and there's grief in certain things. But what I have found is that I tend to just like coast there, and like in almost like a morning state.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I can release one, I can release in a different way. I can release in joy, through dance, through song, through gratitude. And I just went off on a tangent.
It's great. It's great.
I guess these are some of the tools I use in my but I think it's really powerful when we can notice what our stories are. So that we can see, like, is that story even serving me? Because I can rewrite that story very yeah.
Yes, so powerful. So powerful. Yeah. On that note, if any come to mind, like, are you aware of any stories that you've become aware of, that you've been able to shift, that have been like powerful for you? Or maybe even that you are wanting to shift, or I don't know, wherever that takes you.
Control is a big one. That's where I've been this weekend. I'm like, ooh, that's coming up for me. Why do I need to control? What is going on? I don't have control, LeeAnn. Why are you still thinking that you have control over anything? What is this?
Yeah.
But I have a tendency to live in the future. I think that's where anxiety comes from.
Same.
As a storyteller, I like to visualize, and like, so you can make mountains. Your stories.
You can make anything.
And so what I have found is like, if I see something playing out, what I would call using judgment, which is bad or whatever, on someone else's life, like, no, you shouldn't do that, like the whole shouldn't even be in my vocabulary, actually. But it's like, I don't want, that's their journey. I have no need to control their journey. That's that's what they're here for. They're here for their work. And so how I think it should be, or how it should look, whatever, doesn't matter,
right? Yeah. I think that's that detachment, right, that you kind of threw out there earlier, and that we've talked about, which I think definitely goes hand in hand to this, with this, first of all, I think obsession with control that all of us who have, most of us, if not all of us, raised in a capitalist, Western / Eurocentric society, to have practice, to be practiced at, right? Embodied, is like, we have this obsession with, first of all, we have the belief of the illusion of control, right? We think that it's actually, we can control things. I mean, capitalism is totally built on control for this product. This is absolutely needed. This is not negotiable. We're setting up this entire process in order to control it, so that it can be, regulated and anticipated. So I think when folks who find themselves on this path of needing to let go of control, right? It can show us just how much it's integrated into our entire way of life, into our entire way of thinking, right? Even our thinking and the stories. I was having a thought this morning, thinking about planning. And I think I told someone, like, plans don't typically work for me. And I was reflecting on the fact that what I meant was that stories and trying to control outcomes via stories typically don't work for me, or trying to control via plan. So I had this thought, like, a lot of times our plans are just stories, right?
Yes.
They're stories that we have committed to about how things are going to turn out, right? And I know that doesn't work for me, right?
Yeah.
But I think that I'm saying that to say many of us are not aware of just how much our stories and our need to control, our desire to control makes us feel safe, right? In this society, control tends to make
The
us
idea
feel
of
safe.
it, for sure. Yeah.
Exactly, the idea of it,
Yeah.
and grasping for it, certainly believing we have it, makes us feel assured. And so I think, when we find ourselves moving through processing things like codependency, which for me has a whole lot to do, intersects hugely with like the desire to control outcomes or to have,
yeah.
right? Like, I mean, I remember in the midst of the breakup, one of the things that was utterly terrifying for me was like, I didn't know where I was going to get all of these things that I got from the relationship, right?
Yeah.
So another thing I think me and you have talked about is projections. Projection, which is oftentimes just reaching for some level of stability, control, satisfaction.
Yeah.
Like, it's just another,
Yeah.
manifestation of the pattern, right? The search, the yearning outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking about when you talked about it was how it comes up in relationships, right? In terms of, okay, I see you living like this. I feel some type of way about that, right? Or maybe I have very strong feelings, or maybe you doing that really like rubs me the wrong way or pushes my button about something from my childhood or something that, something that I believe is the cause for some things that I really struggle with. And therefore, my charge about your behavior and the way that you're living is high key. I got a lot of stories about it. I got a lot of feelings about it. I got a lot of desires for that to be different, right? To be different. And I think this is so real for so many of us, especially parents, right? Especially parents and anyone who had a hand in raising us, had a hand in affecting on some level, who we find ourselves to be, right? And it's been a journey. I know for me, moving through the layers on like having attachment to the behavior of that person, the journey of that person, whatsoever, right? And moving through the layers of, I mean, I remember when I used to actively try to convince people that they needed to change. I mean, or like, you don't understand the effects of your behavior and dad, right? Like, I mean, it was thick. It was thick, and I give thanks that I moved from that place. But moving through the layers to attempting to actively practice and actively practicing, I'll say detachment via trust, right? Because
that's good. Yeah.
For me, here's something that I came to radically in my Great Awakening was a radical trust of my feelings, my journey, myself, right? And it was really huge for me because for most of my life, I was exporting my own authority to other people and following their, what seemed to be their kind of blueprint for approval, right? What would get me approval in their eyes, which of course had me shape-shifting a lot and really not grounding and deepening into my own power and letting that, evolve, right? And, that was very painful in a lot of ways. It was very uncomfortable. It was very much so not home for me. So it was a big shift to kind of solidify and commit to trusting myself and my feelings unconditionally 100%. Like no longer even considering somebody else's idea about my idea about what I want to do about this thing that I have feelings about, right? Like committing, like, no, this is where we are. This is how Ife feels about it. And not in the sense of being blocked off, but in the sense of really affirming my voice knows for me and for my journey. And like you said, that when you get to that place of groundedness, of knowing, that's the voice of God. So F whatever y'all got to say.
Yeah, honestly.
But also, I mean, to even bring it back to like self-focus, it really honestly was never about them. It was about me and my journey, right? And me having the courage and just getting to the place where I could commit to that for myself, right? So I did. And I risked trusting my journey. I risked being like, okay, if I do something that my voice is telling me to do, that somebody else, whatever, thinks is not the right thing to do, and maybe even it brings me to a place of dissatisfaction, that doesn't mean that action was wrong, because there is a journey, right? Oof. There's a journey. This is not, we're not just choosing one-off destinations here. And not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, right? Nadir and I talked yesterday about the cycles of birth, death, rebirth. Like they are what we are. We are nature. It happens in nature. It's going to be like that. We're going to be that seed planted in the dark soil, probably many a times, especially if our callings are high. I mean, or, you know, like if we got a lot to evolve through, we're going to be that dark, we're going to be that seed in the dark soil, right? So trusting, though, not landing in the soil and be like, oh man, I think I really shouldn't have done that. I think I really should have listened to my mom. Like, nah, like that was canceled. I decided that was canceled. So even after the fact and in retrospect, trusting myself and trusting that essentially my voice is the thing that walks me along the journey. The journey is mine. The journey has everything I need to evolve in the way I am destined to evolve in this life path, in this life right here, right now, right? In my life. So, you know, whether that means rendezvousing with other folks who teach whatever, all the different experiences, but it's there within my journey. So for me, it was like, if I'm unconditionally trusting myself, I'm unconditionally trusting my journey. And I always hated when somebody told me that there was something wrong with me or what I was doing or where I am or where my journey is, right? That always felt like them going against the essence of me trusting myself. Then I got to do the work so that I don't should on anybody else either. If I'm going to unconditionally trust my path, I got to unconditionally trust everybody else's path too. Because guess what? It don't really got much to do with me. Right?
Yes.
I am merely...
Hold on. If I'm going to unconditionally trust my path, I have to unconditionally trust their path. I just needed to like bookmark that.
Thank you.
I needed to bookmark that. Yes.
Real talk. I mean, because theoretically, you know, and I said this yesterday, like I've just always been this person, especially now, where if there's a thing that I come to, you know, any kind of philosophy or thought that I find that I come to live by or just really resonates deeply in my soul, I have the need to integrate it fully throughout my life. It's like, if I can't, my mind is like, we have to shift things. So, you know, and I don't know if it's like a built-in like integrity button. I don't know, but I just have to live it. You know, I have to live it. So yeah. It's been huge for me. One, and it's been huge in two ways, right? On the one hand, it can be incredibly freeing to be like, you know what? Wow, your shit ain't nothing to do with me.
Right.
Your path actually is not mine, and there is so much freedom and joy in that. Because I get to own mine.
Yes.
And if I own mine, you get to own yours. And I don't need to, I don't need to put myself into, I don't need to overstep, right? It's also trusting, I want to pop in this part too. It's also trusting the forces of creation, the universe, the ancestors, all of the forces that are with us, right? So to speak. Like if I know and I trust that they're guiding me, I also trust that they're guiding everybody else too, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we all have this thing to live through. And as you said, it's their work to do. It's their life to live. It's their cyclones and hurricanes and burials and rebirths. It is theirs to live. I can't do it for them. I can't take it from them. I can't change it for them.
I'm like receiving. I'm like, yes. Yes.
Right? So the freedom is beautiful. I mean, I remember when I kind of came into this, and it came in layers, but with my dad, right? I've had all these entanglements with my dad along my journey, just around, how, and I used to feel just stifled by how I was raised by him, and there was a lot of blame and all of this, right? Just like not trusting my own voice, not having a place to really come into my own, and all of that that's not necessary to get into. But I remember the freedom of really feeling like this guy has lived his journey, and he continues,
right,
but he's doing his thing for him. And as I look at his life, I'm like, this man is living his life. This man is living his calling in the world. This man is doing his work. This man is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And realizing that's for him to do.
Yeah.
He's doing what he came to do. Now it's on me to do what I came to do.
Yeah.
Right. So the freedom on that end. The other end is like, damn, this is hard. Right? In terms of the practice of living that, the practice of detachment, the practice of what that means, right? What that means when we show up, when I show up, allowing people to own their own stuff, not taking care of them, not trying to change them. And that energy that I may have otherwise put into that, shifting it into me and my own journey. Because one thing I have found is that when I am overly invested in the journeys of others, I am not invested enough in my own. Right? When I am when I'm in my oak tree, right?
Yes.
And I'm doing my thing, I am focused on who I am, on my journey unfolding, on what I came here to do and birth and live. And I'm vibing on that. I'm feeling affirmed in my beingness and my essence and my divinity, right? Like I'm a whole phenomenon that came here to be a phenomenon, and it's working, it's playing out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm present. I'm a present actor in the playing out. I look at these other people's journeys and I'm like, wow, look at you go. Like everything's great, right? Like,
look at nature.
Look at you, right? Like look at things playing out for you. I see presence as opposed to lack, right? And I'm good. I'm solid. I trust in the motions that are working.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I feel that inclination, or when I'm even just like, oh, why they always gotta say that? And I'm like, okay, Ife. Right? It's one of two things. It's like either, all right, baby, time to come home to yourself, and like, right? And it's also that tends to come up when there's another layer of things that wants to cycle through me to be released, right? Old stuff, old, Yeah.
You said a lot, so I'm like, oh,
I did literally say a lot. I'm like,
it was, but it was such a word, What came to my heart while you were speaking was that trust is a practice. And you mentioned practice, and you mentioned how hard practicing can be, especially when our practice is different. And I think we tend to run from, it's interesting because it's like people run from confrontation, but it's like confronting yourself and your demons. And so it's like a deeper confrontation. So it's like, nah, I'm just gonna watch Netflix. I'm good. Like that's oh my gosh.
Woo!
I'm just gonna eat some ice cream. Think about this later.
I think because I ate ice cream yesterday.
And I watched Netflix this morning.
We in it, you know? I love it. Like,
but I think so, right. So being very aware that it is a work and sometimes it's uncomfortable. But we have to invite it all in. We have to invite the joy with the pain, the love with the heartache, and just know. So be content. Santosha is a yogic principle in the sense of, which means contentment and just not attaching to the pleasure or the pain. It's just like they're all here. They're all part of the dance. Yeah. And I can be at peace in my center, knowing that I'm going to experience it all, you know, and just like not necessarily be attached to either. And I feel like that's a good place to land because we don't hold on to the joy. So I think sometimes, you know, because sometimes you want to hold on to that because you don't want the pain to come back. But knowing that like it's the duality of life, you know, you're going to have the ups and you're going to have the downs, and just like allowing it all. And like if you have a moment where you have to watch Netflix or eat ice cream, like give yourself some compassion.
Yes.
You know, like,
and maybe like, even make room to enjoy that joint.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like it's not there's grace in that. It's like it's rest in that. Yeah, I'm just trying to. For me, I think of we're very much so like I got to do the thing and be like really rigid with myself, as opposed to like, you know, sometimes it's just hard and I just need to surrender, or I just need to pause.
That part.
Yeah. And not being mad at yourself for doing that. Because then it's like a double-edged sword, and it's like, well,
exactly.
Now I'm like extra mad.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, totally. And what comes to mind as you say that is like, I think another practice we have in this culture is just generally going against ourselves, right? Yeah. We think that like growth, self-improvement, whatever we want to achieve or get to from where we are, like the premise of how it's set up, I think for a lot of folks, and that's just functioning on an unconscious level for a lot of us, certainly it was for me, was this thing of like, if I'm gonna get over here, it's because I'm gonna change how I naturally do this, right? So like if I want to change my eating habits, first of all, it's because my natural eating habits are bad, and I gotta change them from bad to good, right? Yeah. But naturally, I don't trust myself because my natural behavior is bad, right? Which can very easily connect to naturally, my natural essence is bad, right? Or my natural essence is distrustful, or my natural essence is lazy, or my natural essence is over gluttonous or over zealous or over whatever, right? We have this culture that hurls these ideas at us that we're not enough, or we're too much, or there's something wrong with us, right? Oof. And so the change that we seek, the self-improvement, this is one of the, you know, biggest kind of thoughts and critiques I have about the self-help kind of space and movement, is so much of it is based on us going against ourselves, and a distrust of ourselves that is like just kind of accepted, right? Like, and that I think the power that can come when we actually shift and don't make anything innately or inherently good or bad.
Yes.
But instead, we go to that deep inner voice. We get to that oak tree, and we ask the oak tree what she want. Do she want some ice cream today? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Is Netflix what she needs today? What could happen if Netflix wasn't inherently bad? Like, and honestly, I think we create these rigid ideas about these things because we don't trust ourselves.
Yeah.
I gotta label this bad so that it can motivate me not to do what I normally do and just eat a bunch of potatoes.
And so that reminds me of shame. And I feel like we're almost indoctrinated through shame. Like our parents, sometimes religion even uses shame to, like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Train you. And it's like, so we fall back into like, well, no, I shouldn't do that. And then suddenly we're like, we're frozen because we don't know how to move, because I don't know if we revert back to that childhood self. Yeah. And there's like not really knowing how to get out of that spiral.
Yes. Spiral. You're preaching, girl.
Yeah, no, but really, because shoot, girl.
All the layers.
Yes. I think that comes back to grace. And just like really like there's nothing to be ashamed of. You know what I mean? Like really like allowing, like there's no shoulds. Like we can just
nothing was ever wrong.
Right. Let's just let go of that word. Just,
you know,
and just be. And what do you need in this moment? And I think the difference between feeding your spirit and feeding your ego are different, in the sense of like sometimes going back to our Netflix analogy, reality for me. It's like, sometimes whatever, I'll put on programming, and then, but it's like, does my ego need this, or am I escaping something? Yep. Or am I just giving myself rest? And if you find yourself in like a marathon of like 12 hours,
usually, right?
Maybe there's something you're avoiding.
Yes. And I love that. I think in my experience with it, and like this also reminds me of compulsive behavior in general, right? Which can be very present in patterns of codependency, emotional eating, right? Escapism of any kind. You can feel which one you're in, right? I'm thinking about something from Janine Roth, who is an author who wrote Women, Food, and God, she does work with women around their relationship with food and emotional eating and escapism, that kind of thing. It's actually really powerful. I highly recommend that book, and I highly recommend her work. It's been impactful for me. She says this thing, I think in her last book, I don't know if I'm going to quote it correctly, but it's kind of like this idea of, it's really only a matter of, are you going to allow yourself to know what you already know, right? And like when we're spiraling, when we're in these patterns, when we're in our third tub of ice cream, when we're on our whatever of Netflix or whatever. I mean, I could say the same thing about myself where I was just yesterday, like writing an Instagram post when I should have been in the freaking bed, right? Like, essentially, kind of like, for me, it's like, am I going towards what I need, or am I going away from it? Right? It's kind of be that simple. But what I mean is, there's a voice, there's a sensation, there's a feeling that lets us know which one we're in, and also what we need. And if it's not kind of like audible for us, it's just a matter of listening, really, and creating that practice of listening. But it's always there, and it tells us, am I going toward, or am I going away from? And it's a powerful barometer. It's powerful intelligence, powerful information, you know what I'm saying, that we always have with us and inside of us. And I don't mean to make it sound simple, though, in the sense that I might have a whole day going against myself, right? Like, I'm on the ice cream train, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right? Just in the sense of, which also, takes me to resistance, right? Which is
Yes.
like a whole nother thing. But, I can find myself sometimes in resistance, and I just have to give myself grace and allow that momentum to carry me back home. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was like, so you mentioned deep listening, and I was like, can we talk about some tools of deep listening? Because
Yeah.
I am passionate about deep listening, and then sometimes I'll listen to her later. I'll listen to myself.
No, exactly. That's exactly what I was just describing.
Right. I'm in my story right now, so I'll just I'll
come back. I know she's there. Thank God. I'll be back. Promise.
But that's part of the work. That's part of being in the work, and like maybe stay there a little less often.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yep.
What are some of your tools for deep listening?
Ooh, I love this. I also would love to bring folks in who are watching with us live in on the conversation a bit, and I'd love to know for you all if you have anything on this. What your tools or just practices are for deep listening, like what works for you, what's helpful for you. So my tools for deep listening: nature, high key. It's just it's what is I'm trying to think of this. I can't think of the wording I'm looking for, but it's undefeated. Nature is undefeated.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. Like undefeated in its effectiveness to help me, to bring me to deep listening. Yeah. Water, specifically water. So a bath, but also the river, the ocean, or sometimes just river sounds, ocean sounds, water sounds. Meditation. Yeah, for sure. Just breathing in general. Right?
Like, let me take a breath. Yeah.
Just like coming back. Reiki is helpful.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just like self Reiki, give myself Reiki. Journaling, high key as well. Journaling was huge for me when I was really kind of like first coming into self-awareness. It's funny, I thought I was self-aware all my life, and then one day you find out not so.
Layers. It's just layers.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But yeah, journaling was huge for me, especially in terms of like allowing myself. I used to expect me to show up, put together, right, in general in life, and journaling used to feel stifling for me. Like I have to write in here like a diary, right? And when I shifted that to just being like, I can literally write anything in here and just be like, what the fuck? Like then, so yeah, and it's coming back. Journaling is coming back for me as a so helpful to just and like recently, I think you kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I don't know, it made me think about it. Essentially, when these things come up, these various thoughts, patterns, whatever, things that show us that there's something there to be worked through, like jumping into them. So kind of like instead of engaging in the thought loop, right, or the fantasy or the story, noticing that it's there and then grabbing some paper and being like, okay, so what's this? What is happening? What, you know what I'm saying? What is the fear behind this? What is the belief behind this?
Yeah.
That's been liberating, high key. Wait, your question, deep listening. Okay, I was gonna say conversation. Yeah, conversation is helpful. I think probably especially me, my air sign self.
I was thinking that, yeah.
Yeah, like the communication and the reflection that I receive, and in many ways, conversation is almost like it's processing, like flowing through me, if that makes sense, right? So I can come away with understanding my own, where I'm at, my own thoughts, more than maybe if I didn't. Prayer. This is legit a whole list.
No, please. Yes, the world needs to know.
Yeah, prayer, incantations. So in my Orisha practice, there's a prayer, kind of incantation of homage, so to speak, that we pray before opening up any kind of service or divination or meditation, even, right? And usually we use some kind of something that makes noise to go along with it. So it might be a bell, it might be a staff, beating a staff like on the ground. It might be some other kind of instrument, but it's something that makes like a constant noise, like and there's really something about that rhythm combined with the prayer, the incantation, which includes prayer, right? My own personal prayers for the moment. Girl, it just zaps me into oak tree, girl. Because something that it also does, part of the practice is also in the incantation, pays homage and calls on ancestors, on forces of nature. And so typically as I'm calling these names, I'm feeling their essence, I'm feeling my own essence in connection to these various forces or ancestors, and almost like a joining energies. And I feel that that base, that I stand on and that I'm a part of. I feel connected, and then I'm like, all right, let's fuck some shit up, Yeah, that's what's coming for me right now. How about you?
Thank you for sharing. I loved your tools. I'm like, I need to try that. Like self Reiki. I haven't done that. But a lot of the tools that you shared are tools that I use, like nature. Hello.
Hello. Like, thank you, mother.
Some moments. So I'm a new mom and I live alone, and some moments of panic. I have a moment of panic probably at least once a day. Probably just once a day, but it happens. And so like, I'm like, I just have to go outside. And I literally just allow myself to like go outside, breathe in some fresh air, look at the trees, hear the birds. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm divinely connected.
Yes, exactly.
Everything is as it should be. Let's get back inside. But also journaling is probably my absolute favorite. And the things I would add also are like movement.
Oh yeah.
And songs to a certain extent, like, and then I use aromatherapy. Like I'll put the oils on my hands and just take a few deep breaths.
Yes. I think I brought some here for that. I brought some eucalyptus oil to be like,
girl, eucalyptus. I just yes, that's my favorite.
I had eucalyptus in my bath, girl. I was like, we about to get all the way to
yes, open up, let it out. Yes, I love eucalyptus. What else? Those were tools that I thought that I wanted to add to what you shared.
Yeah.
But yeah, movement for sure as well.
Movement is huge. I don't do as much as I would like. But movement. Oh, dance. How could I forget dance?
Yeah.
I have a deep love for dance.
Okay.
And it spills out of me. I used to dance professionally when I was a child. So African dance, African dance, Afro-Cuban dance, any kind of, I don't know, Black style dance. Or just whatever, comes out of me, right? Like, you will catch me walking down the street, like dancing down the street.
I love it.
And when I really, really, dance is like a meditation for me, like, and it's a fitting metaphor for me in the sense that like there are layers deep that you can go, right? Like when you first start a meditation, not quite as like deeply kind of nestled into that core of who you are, right? And as you continue, typically, as we continue to kind of settle in, like you could access these layers of depth and presentness, right? Same for me with dance. Like it's lovely on the front end. And when I'm like an hour in to like a dance class or something, and like the energy it's electricity, And let me tell you, I will leave like all is well and I'm back. Hey, but really like nestled in my power. I think it's something about activating the we would say in the Orisha tradition, activating the ashe, like within you, which is basically divine life force, but allowing it to move is just, it's innate, Man, singing.
Yes.
Gets
Yes.
all the way together. Yeah. I'll also say just like communing. And I'm thinking like communing with spirit, but I want to just say communing just in the sense of like the verb, like the action. I could commune with almost anything and it will help me to access myself, right? But just the state of communion, like being present enough and kind of like, you know what I mean? Like being connected, one, almost like still present, connected, so that there's some kind of a circulation happening. Channel, absolutely, all that. Okay, I want to read some of our comments really quick. Ayana's sharing some of the things that she uses. Nature, deep breathing, yoga, ritual practice, root work, rooted work, ancestral veneration.
Ancestral.
Tarot.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't say divination.
I forgot to include that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
Like, yeah. Definitely makes me remember who I am.
And conversations like this, for sure.
Yeah, right? Oh, man.
Yeah. I was about to say, I'm a water sign, and I think my ascending is air.
Okay.
But my
ascending is water.
That's interesting. Opposite. Ooh.
Everybody got something to say about cancers. Everybody got a laugh.
Cancers. Cancers are so nurturing.
Exactly. I love cancers though.
Yeah. But so I tend to, being a Pisces, I tend to like go in and like just like melt a little, but like I do find that the right conversations spark, and those are the types of conversations I encourage people to have more of, and to also note to self, spend less time with energy or in situations or in community that don't empower that divine spark, that innate knowing. Yes. That's just my word.
Yes. I love that. And I think that's a beautiful way to wrap this on the idea of, or the practice of following that inner knowing, right? Hearing it, allowing it, following it. Like, does it want to be around this person? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Like, what is it? What does it want? What does it need? What do I want? What do I need?
Yeah. There's
go ahead.
There's a practice that I actually got from like a business podcast, but she was sharing something that her coach shared with her. Okay. But it was like the 7 whys. So it's like, why am I with this person, hanging out with this person? And then so you answer why, and then drop into like that why, and then keep going deeper and deeper into those whys, and you find yourself in like some like those hidden gems of like, oh, that's what I'm longing for. That's what I desire. Yeah. So the 7 whys of why you're doing, when you start to question the things that you're doing, and I hope there's a bit of mindfulness in all of our actions. you know, in all of our show up, and so that we can show up more authentically and more aligned with, you know, our overall purpose. There's one thing that I did want to say before we
no, I was gonna do the is there anything else you'd like to know? Anything else you want to share, LeeAnn?
There's this one thing that has been on my heart since we spoke last week, and I think I don't know if I shared it with you, but it came to me and it was like, yeah, I think I did. Can I be obedient with my purpose?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wrote that thing down, girl.
Yes. That's where I've been like,
can I be obedient
to my purpose?
To my purpose.
Because I feel like we're indoctrinated in a lot of ways to like be obedient to the system, to, you know, all these things, to a person or situation outside of ourselves. And it's like, no, can I just obey my purpose in life? Can I like really like follow?
Yeah, like can I answer to that?
Can I answer to that, you know? And as opposed to like all the other things that are moving around me, which
so used to answering to and being pulled.
Yes. Yeah. And like I think moving from there, and it's hard sometimes.
So much. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, what I have found, and I think what I'm living at this point is, now that I have knowingly decided that that's my goal, right? I've decided that's what I'm committed to, then life is handing me experiences, lessons, layers of moving through what I need to move through in order to make that more and more and more possible, right?
Yes.
Like it's certainly not an all at once. It's certainly not if I just do these things, then I am obedient to my purpose. Like, no, it is the washing out, the wringing out, the cycling through, because we have to do that in order to, I'm really into this thing now of like, we have these things we want ourselves to do. And I think we put, actually, in my opinion, too much emphasis on like, how do I do that? Like on the actions that somebody thinks I need to take, or I think I need to take in order to do this thing or have this thing or whatever. When for me, it's like, what does it look like? Because I think most of the work is in becoming the person who does that thing or creates that thing or lives in that thing, right? Because if not, then we're actually kind of going against ourselves, because that's not our right now, right? It's not the truth of our right now. But what life is attempting to do, I believe, for all of us, is to cycle us through these growth cycles where we constantly we evolve into the people who do these things, who wherever we want to be. You know, we do them naturally. And when we get there and we do them naturally and they flow, they feel so good. It feels so good, you know? Whereas when I'm in the other place and I'm telling myself, man, I really shouldn't be eating ice cream, or I really should be doing more of this. I got to get up earlier. I got to exercise more. I got to da-da-da-da-da. It's still kind of self-harm almost, you know?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Deep stuff. Wow. Any last words or thoughts? And then tell the people where they can find you and get more of your beautiful, delicious yoga speak.
Yoga speak. I love it. I think the only thing I didn't mention that is my my pole and my center is gratitude. And what you just spoke of just now reminded me of like instead of falling into that shameful place, you know, I was like of what I should be doing or how I should be doing this, or arriving someplace. It's like, I'm grateful I'm here. I have my body. I have what I need. Knowing that what you want is in alignment, and just and being grateful for your walk, you know, allowing that walk, as opposed to like, well, I gotta be this today, or, you know, I gotta do this, you know, and I feel like when we align with that feeling, things just happen, move differently, so things manifest differently. So gratitude is like the center.
I love that, like dropping in. And something that that's been helpful for me is this thought, especially when I'm having a thought that I'm judging, right? Oh, I'm still thinking about him, or I'm still whatever, or something I want myself to do differently or be over or whatever.
Right.
And kind of bringing in this easeful thought of, can we let that be okay? Can we let that be okay?
Can we let that be okay?
Can we let that be okay for right
Yes.
now? Can we let that be okay? Right?
Yes.
Because the reason that it's not okay for you is because you're making it not okay right now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So can we ease into letting that be okay? And trusting,
Yeah.
as you said, that the journey is a journey. It's there without a doubt. And the only thing is that it has yet to unfold fully, right?
Yeah.
We're on it. All is well.
For sure.
So
Yes.
good.
Yes.
I love you, LeeAnn. You're the
I love
bomb.com
you.
girl.
I love you.
Please tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on like where? You can find me on Instagram. Primarily LC Morrissette, MORRISSETTE. And then lcmorrissette.com is my site. And if you want to work with me as far as storytelling is concerned, or you just want to chat, I'm always open to conversation. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, I do want to hype your work really quick. Like, LeeAnn is she's amazing at what she does. Her photography, her storytelling via video is phenomenal, and it's like literally makes me cry. So I just want to hype that really quick.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much
You.
for coming, for being here, for bringing your authenticity, for bringing like you right now, right? And
right
also
now.
inspiring and helping to allow me to show up in that way, right? Which,
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for creating the space, like this. I see you, and I'm really honored to know you. And
wow.
this is a beautiful journey to be on with you. So yeah, more and more and more and more.
More and more and more. We're definitely gonna have to keep this going somehow. But so honored and happy to be on the journey with you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure.
Love you, girl.
Love you.
Bye, everybody. Catch y'all tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Bye.